storm's coming.
Yeah. So fast.
It should be February.
If he got ripped here and flipped like that, okay, that would be great.
He's heard it all the last
So
4 days.
I think that's pretty violent, and that struggle is just.
Do we know?
That position, this is
You're on one there, Tobes. They're going quick as they can. Are they? Yeah.
Thank you for that. I might have Colgate.
Yes.
I want you here, please. Around here, please.
So it's one explosion.
I know it's
back, back off.
Yeah.
Try and grab his arm.
Okay, you should be up there and follow me.
2 cameras there, 1 camera there.
No. Right? This is going to be babysitting duty, I reckon.
No.
One of the colonists, yeah. Make sure no one wakes up crazy from the trial, that's about it.
McBride,
someone's going to
No, I know.
I'm waiting for it.
Here, you do it.
Oh, seed the stars, people, to the covenant.
Covenant.
Make eye contact.
You're right down there. That's the plan right now. We'll do it blow by blow.
And this is full full sprint at this point?
I think
Smollett, Callie and Circular, please be good.
Thank you. We will have to bring her back down again to give her the old loading on and all that shit, but anyway.
that's drawing. I think we've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
See?
Yes.
Take that one away.
Go!
Staring at the ampules, but you could hear.
That's for you, Ferris. I love you. I love you so much. All right, let me know when you're in position.
a deep echo in me, a strong appeal for that mystery. I know you know, 'cause I feel you. I won't say why we met, I won't say why we met. It sounds too loud, it sounds too loud. I know you know, I know you know. 'Cause I feel you. I know you know. Fear is knocking on our door, and love is calling us for sure. There's no reward.
What is your name?
Walter. We are Walter.
I feel you, a deep echo in me.
They've already allotted a place they think is the right distance from a light and heat source, and therefore the chances on it will be all the advantages of the life that we had down here on Earth, because it's all to do with how far you are from the sun, and that's where they're going to go. So that's a covenant. That is like the settlers that came to the United States. You can think about it that way. They'll come across the sea, land, and have to deal with the indigenous people if there are any. So when they arrive, ironically, expecting indigenous, there are none. They're all dead. They see a dead planet. When we arrive there, the planet is a dead planet, is a haunted house, where the only thing on it you've got no life form except plant life, trees, and air. You've got no animals at all. As it were, every form of the pathogen kills every form, if you like, meat, whether it's insect, whether it's human life, it kills the meat. So you without any population whatsoever. That's how you begin. I think Ash was a kind of original idea that, the AI, every ship has an AI on board. And to make it a little bit more user-friendly, the AI seems to be human. So you're not talking to a robot, okay? But no, nevertheless, the Ash was a robot, Ian Holm. In this instance, our AI on board this ship is Walter. Walter is absolutely the doppelganger, the double of David. And so when we see Walter, we think it's David, then we realize it's not David, it's the doppelganger now called Walter, who's another AI. So we're now in flight on that one, and he's the housekeeper, and he walks around, checks things out, never has to sleep, and doesn't age. When they finally land, to cut a long story short, and they had a bad encounter on the planet, even though the planet is kind of wondrous and spectacular and kind of threatening in its scale. At a certain point in there, they meet this stranger who turns up out of nowhere, fundamentally guides them out of a problem, and the guy, when he gets into where he takes them, which is a town, a village, a city that had been destroyed, and once they're inside in safety, he de-hoods, and we see David. I needed somebody who was physically imposing, tall, athletic, and hopefully a good actress. And she's special. I think what's interesting, both she and Crudup, Billy, come from the theatre, very much so. And it was I'm sure I've dealt with people before from the theatre, must have. But they weren't theatrical in that sense, but they very much brought to bear to their technique, their knowledge and sensitivity theatrically. Because, you know, when you're doing a film like this, which is constantly people dying and constantly stressful and has to be, and constant show of fear, you know, there's many colors of fear, and there's many colors of remorse, and many colors of everything. And you know, a person who's had theatre background, they dig deep and can pull that out. So they helped enormously in that respect. I really enjoyed working with both of them. I had to have something in addition to the usual suspect, because I didn't want that to wear out, and I wanted to save him, to be exclusive with him at the end, because he's the xenomorph, comes out at the end. So the neomorph is the one without the armor, in whitish flesh. He's evolving quite well. You haven't seen him yet properly done. He looks pretty great. So it's a new form of creature. Yeah. I hope it's really scary. I hope it's gets you very uneasy. I hope your veins start going, your arteries start going. I hope your heart starts pounding. I hope you have a very dry throat, but you got to watch the screen.
You've all sacrificed so much to be here and be a part of this thing we're doing.
This crew is made up of couples.
It's the first ever large-scale colonization mission. And everyone back on Earth is really grateful for your hard work, and your courage. We're making history here.
This is wheat. What are the odds of finding human vegetation this far from Earth?
Who planted it? You hear that?
What?
Nothing. No birds, no animals, nothing. What happened here?
What's happening?
I need you back here right now. I need you.
Okay, baby, just calm down, sweetheart. Calm down.
Tell me to calm down.
You're breaking up.
All of this is to start our new life.
Where is it?
Let me out!
Hold on! Holy.
This is a ship going to start a new world. It's a ship that has something like 2,000 colonists on it that are going to start life anew on a new planet, Orgai 6. And they're on their way there when they hit this storm, and the storm does some serious damage to the ship, and Walter is concerned that the colonists might get damaged, so he awakes the commanding crew. And so the commanding crew is woken out of cryosleep, and soon after they've woken up, they hear a beacon. They hear what seems to be a distress call or signal, which happens to be Shaw's distress signal, from a planet which seems to fulfill all the necessary requirements for them to start a life, i.e. air that's breathable and fresh water, foliage, and sustainability, a sustainable planet essentially. So they decide, rather than going back into cryosleep, which will take them another 6 years, I think, to arrive at their destination, they decide to take a look at this planet. And they shouldn't have done that. The David models, I think it was the David 8 model, was designed to allow the synthetic to develop human-like qualities and characteristics. And so we very much see that in David. He has characteristics like pride and vanity, which are very human traits. And that ended up disturbing people. They weren't very comfortable with it, so they decided to design the following models with fewer of those programming functions. So basically Walter is just very much a functioning synthetic that operates through logic and without any human emotional thread. So he doesn't incorporate concepts like vanity or jealousy or gratitude. He doesn't fall in love with characters like we saw a strange relationship between Sean and David and Prometheus. There is a bond that develops there, which is a very human one, and with it, human flaws that come with it. But Walter is purely there to look after the crew and the ship, the Covenant. He's like a super butler. There's no one like Ridley. I mean, that I've come across or that I've read about or heard other people in the industry talk about. He's just very special. He comes from an art background, so he's very aware of a frame. He's very specific and very knowledgeable about what should be in the frame, i.e. working with both costume department and the looks and the outfits that we're wearing to the art department. And I've seen him sort of talk with both departments in great detail and in a language that is familiar to them, which he does exactly the same with the acting department and the camera department. Every department, he's seen everything, and I think through making so many commercials himself, also with his company, his passion for talent in the industry and his acknowledgement of talent, again, in all departments. Ridley will always pick actors that might be in the fringes of popularity, let's say, films that are more art house, and always, again, great diversity in his cast, different ethnicities that he uses, and also just the way that he notices somebody in the prop department and how valuable they are and how good they are at their job. He's just an all-rounder, and that would be selling him short, because he's a master, I think is the best way to put it. He's a master filmmaker, and there's not many out there. I think it's a very rare breed. The concept of space and what's out there, that would be very hard to believe that we're the only species that exists in the universe. So there's that to begin with. And then I think the idea of parasites, things that would use us as a host, I think that's quite a disturbing concept. And for me personally, I always remember from the first Alien film, John Hurt and the neomorph bursting out of his stomach, and that's always sort of stayed with me. And I suppose it's that idea of something growing inside of us.
When they arrive on Origai 6, she'll be responsible for setting up the environment and growing things so that they have food to eat. And then while they're in space, of course, she's in charge of all of the equipment and gear and preparing everything for when they get there. I think at the beginning of the film, she doesn't really, she's capable and she's smart and she's good at her job, but I don't think she fancies herself any kind of, heroic or particularly tough figure, but it just so happens as the events of the film unfold, she's able to function well and think clearly in those moments of crisis. And I think that's much that was easier for me to relate to or understand than just this idea that she's just born cool and tough and ready for battle. I don't know anybody like that. The crew goes about trying to repair the ship, and while they're doing that, they receive a transmission, and that when they discover the location that the transmission is coming from, they realize there's a planet much more suited to human life than the place they're trying to get to, and it's a lot closer by. So most of the crew and the new captain decide to go check it out. I don't think that's a very good idea, but I'm outnumbered. As we're exploring the planet, people start to get sick, and then from that moment on, and kind of the rest of the film just unfolds at a crazy clip, and there's no real time to process much of what's going on. Everybody is forced into action, and it's pretty scary. It is so fascinating to play scenes with someone who's playing a synthetic. It's really, I feel a little bit like I'm getting to time travel to maybe 3 generations ahead of my own. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more, I don't know, but it is coming, and thinking AIs are being developed now. And so it really feels like I'm getting this kind of preview. And it's chilling and bizarre and funny and weird, and obviously that's such a testament to Michael's work as an actor that I'm so convinced by what he's doing. Like the original Alien, I think there's a relentlessness to the chaos and the anxiety in this film, and once it gets going, it doesn't really stop until the end. And there's I think it's gonna be. I think he wanted to make another scary picture, and he wanted it to be gory, and it is. So I think it's gonna freak people out.